Hello, I am very happy to see you here. A few weeks ago, no, it's probably a few months ago, I asked you here on YouTube under the Community tab to tell me about your dreams and struggles and passions. And a lot of you told me that you have a dream about maybe becoming a photographer or a writer or having your own business, thinking about going self-employed, or you have something you'd like to sell online. And that's why I thought I would make this video with 5 tips to craft your visual brand online. And in this day and age, it is just the fact that people use social media a lot to check a brand's credibility. I think if you've ever maybe bought something online or you're thinking about a restaurant to go to, it's not really enough to just have a website, but I tend to at least go to Instagram or Facebook and just kind of see like, okay, what are these about, and do they have sort of social media presence? So I just want to share these tips with you. So if you are looking to just grow your following, or you have a dream about becoming self-employed or whatever it might be, have a website, hopefully these tips can help you achieve that. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. The first tip is to have stunning photos. This is absolutely crucial if you're trying to build up your visual brand, obviously. To have photos that are aesthetically as beautiful as you can make them, and that obviously means beauty isn't something that is objective, but what it means is that something that is really right for you and your brand and what you're trying to do. So that means spending some time with it, put some effort into it, make a mood board on Pinterest, watch some YouTube videos. I have a bunch of self-portrait videos and creative photo ideas, tips here on my channel. So just spend some time with that and think about it, and try to also see it from the viewpoint of a potential customer or a buyer, or somebody who's maybe interested in reading your blog posts, or who that person really is on the other end, and then luring them in with some really interesting visuals, and having that mood that you're building around it, because that is super important, and it is something that a lot of people are very good at. But you don't have to get overwhelmed by that. You just have to think about what it is that your thing is going to be. And also, starting out with just having your phone is totally fine, and just getting to know some tips and tricks how to edit your photos. And then maybe after a while you're thinking about getting a camera, and I would definitely urge you to do that if this is something that you really are taking seriously, because having that jump in quality will just set you so much further, and you can do so much more when you have a proper camera in the editing especially. So I first started with just my iPhone. I think I had an iPhone 5 or 6 back when I started out, and then I had a Nikon D300, and now I shoot with a mirrorless camera, a Sony Alpha 7R3. And that quality, when I went to Sony, this camera, because it's much more an expensive one and it's more like professional, it's been a huge jump, but I definitely wasn't in the beginning ready for that immediately. But especially if you have a website or something that is very relies on that visual stuff. So maybe not if you're writing per se, you could probably just do it with a phone photography. But if you're at all something or interested in visuals, I would definitely urge you to get a camera. And if it feels a little overwhelming, I can recommend a class on Skillshare, who is also sponsoring this video. I took a class there called The Fundamentals of DSLR Photography with Justin Bridges, and was so good to just have somebody break it all down. And he's very pedagogic in his way, and it's very practical, and he gives a lot of examples. So it's not at all as scary as it may be at some point to feel like, oh, but taking with your camera and how am I gonna do that? I can really recommend his class. And if you are interested in that, Skillshare also has a lot of different classes from different photographers, also in videography, also in personal branding. Actually, I found out and that you can try out for free. If you click the link below, then you'll get 2 months of free premium membership. So I definitely urge you to go and check what kind of classes they have. And this is also in the summer, such a good time to be doing that and just honing in on your skill and just unlocking some of that creative potential, and with the help of some people who are really experts in their own fields. My second tip is to be very specific and find your niche. So maybe contrary to popular belief, having a big area of that you have that you're about, beauty and books and travel and fashion. On Instagram, I see a lot of these kind of accounts, and it's especially if it's only you, it can be easy to just want to cover everything, because you're probably interested in a lot of things, because you are a human being who is curious and has a lot of interest. But actually online, that is usually, I think, not such a good strategy, but it would be better to try to find one thing and really be specific and honing in on that. And then when you have that main thing, then obviously you can also talk about these smaller things. But if you know, when you go on Instagram or just social media in general, and you see an account and then you've never seen this account before maybe, and you're trying to figure out sort of what they're about, and maybe it was something specific that you clicked on to go to their profile, and it was about beauty, for example. But then you go to that account and it's all kinds of different things, and you get a little confused what it is about. Then instead of maybe following that person, you'll just go like, but this is a little, I don't know really what this person is about, and you won't follow that person, and that was that potential customer or client lost. So I do think, even though I know it's difficult to just choose one thing and focus on one thing, but I would still urge you to do that. And then when you have that one thing, like for example with me, I didn't know in the beginning what I was about. I thought like, hey, I take these kind of melancholic photos. And after a while, it became clear that the creative self-portrait is really my main thing, and that is also what I teach here on YouTube. But I also sometimes speak about, for example, knitting, and I've talked about living abroad or moving home, so more personal subjects. But that I still have that one main thing that maybe is the way that people find me, and you can sort of see, this is what she's about. And then there's also these other small side topics, but still trying to be very clear on what it is that your sort of main thing is. The third tip is to communicate clearly and direct. This is again something I see time and time again. People seem to maybe sometimes be afraid to just be kind of simple and speak directly. And what I mean by this, that again, I'm going to use Instagram as an example because that is where I hang out a lot, is in the caption section. So when you post something, it may be very abstract and very distant in the caption, especially for brands. I feel like this is true, and that's also why you see nobody ever comments, or very hardly comments, under brand posts, and that maybe isn't even the main goal, to get people to engage. But I do think if you want to get people to engage, you have to talk to people like you would to a friend, and not to like some stranger, some big announcement that is, and you don't even know who is saying it. So why would I then communicate with that? Why would I say anything to that? So if you want to craft a visual brand online who is authentic and is something that you want to engage with, I think being personal and having a little bit of humor and just speaking about things in just like normal human language and not instead of all these very abstract wishy-washy things and maybe a quote that is irrelevant to what the actual content is. So I do urge you to be a little bit self-critical there and just like reflect on how, if you would read this, if it is something that would spark your curiosity and something that you would like to respond to, or if it just feels very taken out of context. So try to be very simple and direct and communicate clearly. I know this can be difficult sometimes to find the right words, but just I would say more simple is better, and just being very clear what it is that you're providing or what it is that you're about. And this brings me to my next tip, which is to keep it simple and assume no one knows what you're about. Again, because the internet is big and vast. So trying to keep it very simple, and when you are sharing anything online, just be very, very clear what it is that you are trying to provide and what it is that you are about. Sometimes, for example, I can see people have on Instagrams like a giveaway or some kind of a competition, and it's super like you have to do this and this, and maybe it's a challenge, and it's very intricate, and that assumes that the person who is reading it is already interested in that and will take that time and effort to try to understand what it is about, when in fact most people will already, when they see that it's too many steps, they will just scroll on because it's just too much effort. So I think it's good to remember that most people are quite lazy, most people are busy, there's all kinds of stuff that wants our attention. So your job when you are trying to craft your brand online And if you are really with the goal to get people's attention and get them more interested in what it is that you have that could be helpful or could provide some value for them, is to be very simple and keep it very clear and make it very obvious what it is about, that it's not too mysterious and that people have to kind of dig for that information. And my last tip is to stick with it and don't give up too soon. Again, it's easy to get discouraged when you're maybe trying out something, you're really excited about it, and you put it out or you make an Instagram account, and then for a few weeks you're posting daily and nothing really happens. Then my tip is to really stick with it. These things take time and you'll see results sometimes coming very slowly, but that's why it's so difficult to just stick with it and really try to be patient with that. I see some of the people, when I started to be very active on Instagram, there was a bunch of people at the same time that had about the same amount of followers as me, that I really followed, and you can just see that some of these people have, just for reasons that, you know, that there are different reasons, life happens, who just maybe stopped at some point. And I've continued, for example, now for about 3 years, and there were definitely times where it felt very sticky and I wasn't sure if this is gonna be anything. I thought maybe this is it, because I wasn't growing at all. But the only thing I think that has helped me or has been my superpower is that I've been very persistent. So I would urge you, if there is anything like a secret ingredient, it is really about being persistent. Just keep showing up, keep trying to make whatever you're doing better, whatever that means. So being more specific, really getting better at what the thing that you're doing, trying to understand it more and trying to get that feedback from people, and then what you want to do, and having that balance between those two. So you're doing something that is fulfilling for you, but also something that there is a demand for and an interest in. And just stick with it. Do not give up too soon. It is so easy to give up, but then all that work that you put in, you'll never see the results and what that could have turned into. Then obviously, if something really is not working and you don't, there is like nothing happening, then maybe it's time to leave that and change strategy, but don't do it too soon. And please don't do it just because you got bored or you thought that, this is not going to work, and listen to that feedback. But yeah, you just have to stick with it and be very, very stubborn. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope these tips gave you some more insights or inspiration, or like just some motivation to go out there and, you know, do this thing. And I know it can be quite scary, and especially now because it is so saturated. There's so many people doing this stuff and being very good at it, and they feel like they, you know, they've already much way ahead of you, and maybe they have a big following, but it's never too late to start. So if you have that a little itch, or you'd like to see what you could maybe do online and have a dream, then definitely I urge you to go for it, and also to dare to dream small and take it in small steps. You don't have to do all this overnight. It takes a while, but you just have to keep being curious about it and interested in it. And even when you're maybe not so inspired, to still think that, this is work, this is something that could really bring me a lot of joy and enjoyment in life. So hopefully these tips were a boost for you, and if you'd like to see more of my photos and how I've built up my visual brand, you can come and say hi. I'm over at Kutovakika on Instagram. I also have a website, which is kutovakika.com, if you'd like to see that. And then I have this YouTube channel, so you can see, I don't know, if you get some tips or just how I've tried to all just make it into a cohesive brand. And then if you have any questions in the comments, then please absolutely write them, and I'll try to answer that the best way I can. And let me know also if you'd like to see more of these kind of, this was a little bit more like businessy, I suppose, this video. So if that's something that you're curious about, then please let me know, and I will see you guys soon again. Bye!
Hello, there's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello.